It is time to go 3 and out with Dan Duggan, the senior reporter for The Athletic, covering the New York Giants. And Dan, that speech we just heard from John Harbaugh doesn't exactly remind anyone of Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday. But what are your expectations for how Harbaugh will set the tone for his first camp with the Giants?
Well, he set the tone in that meeting that he knows what team he's coaching. That was very, very clear. I think that speech kind of encapsulated who Harbaugh is. Super enthusiastic, a little bit quirky. It's funny, you see the reaction on social media. I think Giants fans are ready to run through a brick wall. Fans of other teams, I think, are having some fun, making fun of that speech. But I think what really matters is how the players receive the message. And now, listen, if you're expecting a movie-style reaction in that meeting room, it's not going to happen. These guys sit through hours of meetings, throughout their whole lives and careers. But I think when you talk to guys, they are buying into everything Harbaugh is selling. How could they not? He's coming from a franchise that all they do is win, and a lot of guys who have been here, all they've done is lose. So they've bought into everything he's selling, the culture, everything he's trying to change. That clip, his first day of, he's ever really been around these guys. Now they've been together for the spring, and I think they hit the ground running when they get down to West Virginia for training camp next week.
Yeah, as long as the players are buying in, that's a whole lot more important than what social media's reaction is. But Jaxson Dart was not QB1 at camp last year, so there was a learning curve for the rookie. That is not the case this year as he gets acclimated to Matt Nagy's offense. Dan, what will you be looking for to judge Dart's comfort level?
Yeah, it is interesting because, like you said, it's much different from the year ago when he was the rookie and he had to kind of bide his time behind a couple of veterans and Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. But now he is in a new system. So while it's not a rookie year, it is still an acclimation period. And I think it's going to be a lot different type of offense because for all of Brian Daboll's flaws, I think one thing he did really well was fit the offense to Jaxson Dart's skill set. Now, I'm sure Matt Nagy and Harbaugh, they'll put their heads together and they'll do some of that. But I also think they want him to fit into their offense. So when you ask me what I'm going to be looking for, I want to see how he operates from the pocket. And now we might not see that, too much in training camp practices when they're obviously in the red jerseys. We might not even see it really until the season because preseason is what it is. But we know he can make the schoolyard plays. When it's 3rd and 15, he runs around for 10 seconds and scrambles. That's great. I want to see a little more of just the boring quarterback play, the stuff that Tom Brady did. You take the check down and keep ahead of the sticks. That's the thing we didn't see a ton of from Dart last year, which is fine. He's a rookie. A lot was getting thrown at him. I think that's the stuff you want to see strides with, like almost the boring stuff, because we know he has the flair for the dramatic.
All right, Dan, we got to pick up the pace here as we switch to the defense. How much will camp and the preseason determine the snap count for the Giants' trio of edge rushers?
I don't think it'll determine it so much as reveal the roles, because, that's one spot where they come in. They know they have 3 horses there, and Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau. Now in the spring, it very much looked like Burns and Carter are the top 2 guys. So I think the real curiosity is, where does Kayvon fit in? I think he's going to be the guy who'll have to take a little bit of a back seat, sub in, so maybe some early downs against the run. But then on passing downs, he's probably the guy who's going to have to move into the middle and rush on the inside, which, everyone wants to rush off the edge. That's where all the glory is. But I think he's probably going to be the guy who does more of the dirty work. But yeah, camp will reveal that to all of us.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. Dan Duggan, thanks for joining us, and enjoy your last few days in the tri-state area before heading down to West Virginia.
Thanks a lot.